What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Best Show Ever podcast, the podcast where we interview people about the best shows that they have ever seen in their lives. I'm your host, Cam Herdt, and we are back with another recap. Did a little Fish Spring Tour recap, had a lot of fun doing that one. Seemed like you guys had fun with it as well. Was lucky enough to be with Dogs in a Pile all weekend in Syracuse, New York at the Westcott Theater for their very first ever headlining music festival. And they let me do some host bits in between all of the acts for the weekend. It was a crazy weekend. It was truly one of the best experiences of my life. One of the coolest gigs I'll ever get to play with those dudes. And they gave me full freedom to just do some true buffoonery in between their sets and set up for a really cool weekend of music outside of the comedy. And so, um, listen, if you were someone who missed this weekend, you missed the inaugural year. You missed that first year where we get all the kinks out, but the kinks were fucking sweet, man. It was cool. It was such a uh, just overview here before we kind of like get down into breaking down the whole weekend. The vibes were really, really incredible. The dog pound, the dog's family, the people who are around Dogs in a Pile. Um, Man, they just love this band. They're just so invested in this effort that is so organic to me. Dogs in a Pile has, when you go to their shows, like they got their families there. You know, they got their dads there. They got their their best buddies from their hometown and their best buddies' parents who are still there supporting them. And um, their whole entire crew of people are just busting their ass to make this a thing, to make this an effort that is worth spending your money to go and see. On top of the musicianship, out of everybody in that band, AJ on the lights has put just so many resources into their show in that way. Their lighting setup is incredible. Um, Brian Masella on their sound is running that himself. Like, he is working with the venue, of course, but he is their sound guy for their recordings, for their live sound. He has got a massive job this weekend to do this with every band that they've got on this lineup. And he's busting his absolute ass. Ross, their manager, they call him Big Husky. This guy, this it was a huge festival for him with a lot of different changeover, and as we know, had to go from an outdoor venue to a new venue, and change things up and pivot at the last minute. So much of that fell on his shoulders, and he is like Mr. Cool throughout the entire thing. Um, Casey McCarthy and Dog D Rock and his son Daryl Jr. Everyone involved at the merch table, like this is all their family. This is everybody involved in their lives is involved with the band, and I can't get into this without talking about how impressive all of that is to me. It is such an independent effort. It is such a real and honest effort, and it was pretty humbling to be around and be a part of. Just knowing how hard everybody's working for this band, and so if you haven't given them a chance, if you're listening to this episode, like trying to get into Dogs in a Pile, or you'd like to hear a little bit about them, get yourself to a show and just look at what's going on around you at the show. Look at the effort of all of the work that goes into this being a band. It's pretty humbling. And it's not to say that bands who have a bigger following or more resources at their disposal isn't impressive. That's also an impressive effort, to tie all of those things together like a band like Fish does. I mean, their operation is fucking huge at this point. That's also there's an impressive level of that too. But there's something about everything Dogs has done on the West Coast. Every time I've been around that team, first of all, it's very cool that they invite me in to do my thing, and be a part of it in that way. but it is always, just very humbling. It makes me want to come back and work harder on what I do when I'm around Dogs in a Pile, and what they do. And so with that, let's get into the shows here a little bit. Like, first night Friday, we're at the Westcott Theater. First of all, a just a word about this place. It's set up perfectly for what this weekend was going to be. It was initially meant to be at the Wonderland Forest. An outdoor festival on Memorial Day weekend sounds so ideal. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the weather that was going on in upstate New York over that weekend, it was pouring down fucking rain all weekend long. So that, in a perfect world, I'm outdoors at the Wonderland Forest, fantastic. That's not what we were going to have. It was going to be an absolute friggin' slop fest. We were going to be rolling around in the mud, which is cool for actual dogs, but for people who need to like live throughout a whole weekend, maybe in theory it'd be fun for like a little bit, but that would have made for a long fucking haul through the weekend if we were outdoors. And so Friday night, could not have been more happy to be inside the Westcott Theater watching great music. And we saw some really great acts. Just, they booked themselves solid with incredible artists all the way through the weekend. And I do want to get to like what every other band did. I'm not going to go through every single other band's set. But I do want to talk about how the fact that, Dogs is this band that is bringing together talented people who want to play great shows. And the first show that they've got on here is Taper's Choice. Taper's Choice, for those of you who have not seen them, this is just excellent. Step off the ledge improv. These guys are, I mean, for me, for my money, like we're all here for jams, right? Like we love this community because of the risks that they're willing to take, and Taper's Choice just brought that in spades. They gave us all these different types of looks of jamming, but really you could tell, even having not known their musical catalog or not knowing the songs and how they might be deviating from them normally. I mean, I've checked them out, obviously, and I don't know them like the back of my hand, like a fish or anything like that. So it's hard to tell all of the deviations that they're making. But I'm like, this is fucking improv right here. And they seem very dedicated to it. For those of you who don't know what Taper's Choice is, this is they're put together in a super group type fashion with guys from other musical scenes that are incredibly successful in what they do in those bands, but they wanted an outlet to jam in, and that comes through in the show. Truly just setting up very cool atmosphere with some of their jamming. Obviously, they've got things that just individually each member of the band can shred through. We all love a little shredding, but it is that I keep using the same term with after that show. They really took some risks and stepped out in some jams and really broke things within their jams, got very far away from what they were doing, and returned into something else. The listening was fantastic. Taper's Choice, incredible band. I bought a shirt. I had to. But Dogs in a Motherfucking Pile, now that was a different story. These guys, I will kind of go through their set here. If there's major highlights in all of these sets. They open up with Stevie Lou, which has references to the rain going away, and so it just felt like a little wink, a little nod to what we were all kind of experiencing with this pivot and this changeover. We're going to let the rain come back another day, and we're going to be inside at the Westcott Theater enjoying Dogs in a Pile. And so excellent start to the weekend. And their first set here is fantastic. 4 More Days is one of my favorite Dog songs, and so that's the second song of the set. 116 Days is another reference to a number of days, but it's also a new song for them, and so loving to hear the new ones, and I'm kind of feverish to hear them, and so excellent. And then following that is a G song that goes for a little over 24 minutes. That talking with Casey McCarthy after you know the night, he's like, that's the best G song ever. G song's a pretty important song in the Dogs world, and so to say that's a big one. Casey's seen so many fucking dog shows. He is an oracle of Dogs knowledge. He is one of the reasons why set list looks so cool sometimes. This guy is plugged the fuck in Dogs wise. So for him to say that that's one of the best G songs ever, if not the best, I got to take his word for it. And I'll tell you what, I liked it. So if you're wanting to check out this weekend and you want to start straight off with a bust out huge major jam, get yourself to the G song here and start there, because G song, Way to Be, Blues for Brian, the way they closed this first set of the first weekend was fantastic, or the first day of the weekend, I should say, was fantastic. Um, we're off and running at this point, and a lot of people were sitting around like that was an exceptional set of Dogs in a Pile music, and we know that we're going to be getting treats now for the rest of the weekend. Like, these guys are going to reward those who still worked through the pivot and made their way to Syracuse on Memorial Day weekend and got to this festival. They open up the second set of the first night with Thomas Duncan Part 2. I love all the Thomas Duncans. That's a fucking hot one, and they play that right into Green Earrings. I've got another episode out right now with Jeremy Kaplan where we talk about Steely Dan and his love for Steely Dan. And I just love the way that, one, he sings this song, two, the way that they play this song. There's a riff in the middle of Green Earrings in the verses that is much subtler for Steely Dan, and Dogs in a Pile will hit super hard. This listen, can you tell I'm not a musician the way I'm talking about this? I love the way that these guys play this song. I love the little parts of this song that they emphasize and pull through. But then going into the end of the set here, this is a 5-song second set with Snow Day into a Craig and Pat. Craig and Pat, one of the most fun songs in the Dogs catalog, in my opinion. We were all having a good time. If you're, I mean, hey, but that you can't really have too much more fun than screaming they were having a good time at Dogs in a Pile. And this is listen, I'm not trying to say that I'm an oracle of Dogs knowledge. I'm not trying to say that I know every single show and tour that they've ever done. This has got to be one of the better Craig and Pats ever. It's got to be right up there. They truly gave this a treatment. It was 24 minutes long, and there was parts where me and Ross and Nick Cadena and all the other members of their crew are like, they're going to play this through the rest of the set. And so they did not. They ended off with The Bubble. And I love The Bubble too. Excellent song. But this was a night of some pretty supreme jamming. And so excellent start to the weekend for Dogs, and these guys with their first show of their first festival really put a very cool stamp on it to start the weekend. Saturday is when things start getting interesting from a show's perspective. We bring in a bunch of different artists, throughout the whole weekend, and we've got also to close out Friday, Annie in the Water, fantastic band. If you guys have not checked out Annie in the Water yet, they're coming in playing like the last slot of the night and could not have brought more energy. They brought Brian Murray out with them, and he was fantastic. But these guys stepped up and delivered a late night set that was high energy. It was fantastic, and they've got a great sound. And listen, happy to have finally seen a show out of those guys. And so Annie in the Water, definitely check out as well. To start the next day, we have got Kendall Street Company. And I'm going to out myself here that I have not seen Kendall Street Company yet either. And this is, man, as a guy who's going to be doing comedy throughout the weekend, Kendall Street Company they are serious musicians. Their songs are seriously good and excellent vocals, excellent guitar playing, fantastic band, but they crack you up, man. They are so unbelievably funny. They are just oozing with charisma. All of them. Everyone in this band has got such a voice and such a style that translates so well to what their staged performance is. And dude, I'm you know for the first time in the weekend as a comedian, being like, I gotta follow this. I gotta somehow be more fun and engaging than Kendall Street Company, who is hilarious and like everyone's dancing and laughing. This is not going to be easy. Okay. Hey, listen, I thought I did a great job. I thought I had some very funny moments in there. No one danced during my stuff. Okay. There was not laughing and dancing. This is a hard thing to achieve, reaction wise from a crowd. And Kendall Street Company did it very effortlessly. So they were fantastic. And it was great to meet all those guys and catch a show. Pink Talking Fish was next. And listen, my boy Cal Kehoe and the boys, Eric, all of them, they gave me the gift of a lifetime during that set. Pink Talking Fish, fantastic band, playing the music of Pink Floyd, Fish, and Talking Heads. They did a harpua. They also wanted to give this crowd some treats and give them something special for all coming out. Worked through a harpua with Brian and Jimmy, and for the beginning of that is super fucking cool. Just knowing that they were going to be rehearsing that, walking into the theater that day during sound check, and they're rehearsing harpua, got me very excited. Raised my eyebrows for sure. It was when Cal saw my eyebrows raised, he was like, "Listen, man, do you want to do the narration for the harpua?" And he's like, let me preface, I like to do the narration, but since we have you here, would feel wrong to not. And I listen, I don't ever want to take a harpua away from Cal ever again. This is his outlet. This is the guy gets to do a harpua for his job. All right. How could I possibly take that away from him? But you better bet your ass that I took that gift. And I said yes to that. Especially when he said that we are going to involve Jimmy Law and Brian Murray from Dogs in the Pile. And all we need you to do in your narration is land us back on Dogs from Pink Floyd. Just such a cool choice. They played the first half of Dogs from Pink Floyd off the Animals album earlier in their set, and came back into it during the harpua. That gotta admit, I'm a little bit confused. They're coming back in when I turn the radio back on in the harpua. And so, first of all, thank you, Pink Talking Fish, for letting me do that. I did many a harpua in my bedroom when I was a child. Even when I wasn't a child, even as early as maybe last year, I was doing harpuas in my bedroom. And so it was an honor. It was an honor to talk about dogs on stage, with dogs on stage. Yeah, what an experience. I'm still processing that. And I'm still looking at clips from it, just trying to be like, yeah, that did happen. That was something that happened. Exceptional gift from Pink Talking Fish to allow me to do that. And then, for all of us Dogs fans who were there in attendance to watch, at the end of harpua, Brian go up to the mic and go, "Jimmy," and then Jimmy Law to be like, "Yes, Dad." I mean, these two guys, I know that they're huge Fish fans. I know that they're goofballs. I know that they love this shit. And you could tell that they were having fun. And the crowd was having a blast too. I mean, this Pink Talking Fish set could not have been more fun. It was a perfect part of our Saturday. So excellent set out of them, and a very cool thing to do that harpua. And then from there, we went right into Dogs in a Pile, back into their set. And they, Saturday night, in my opinion, was my favorite show of the weekend. It's kind of hard to say. It was three, if you're a Dogs fan, three just exceptional set lists if you're just looking at them. But this was an excellent show. Again, with some great new songs in there. You know, Six Little Lies they do a 13-minute Six Little Lies in there, and I love that song. The Bag, it opens the show, fantastic. But there's two major sit-ins in this Saturday show, and especially in the jam band community, the sit-in is not always like the cleanest thing. And I think that sometimes it doesn't always like highlight the band that you're seeing. This is not a knock against sit-ins. I get so excited when a sit-in happens. Dogs does a very good job of when they have a sit-in come in, they will learn their music and play it so well, play it within that voice, and it's fantastic. They chose "Let 'Em In" by Wings and Paul McCartney, and they brought Lewis from Kendall Street Company on to sing it. This is not the type of sit-in where you're worried about how they're gonna fit a solo in to a jam or how they're gonna trade off on stage as musicians. Lewis is a fantastic guitar player, and he is also a fantastic frontman. And so he comes out and just sings the Paul McCartney parts. He even did a little bit of a Paul McCartney impression as he's coming onto the stage. I felt like it was fantastic. He did it as he exited too. Excellent Paul McCartney impression. You can hear it on the recording. But it really allowed the band to shine in that moment. Like it allowed specifically Jeremy Kaplan to shine. He plays three different instruments on this song alone. Plays a flute. He obviously is on the keys. Plays trombone. But both solos, both parts of this song where he's not playing keys, the crowd goes nuts. The crowd reaction, even on the recording, is so awesome. And so to me, this was a major highlight of the entire weekend. It felt like everyone was having so much fun as they're playing this song, and Let 'Em In is such a good one. And so we get an excellent Nicolette and an excellent Ben Strange to end the first set. But yeah, it's not always that the highlight is like the sit-in, it's not always that the highlight is like that was the best jam of the night, but it was just the energy was so high in there, and it was such an excellent choice for the sit-in and the cover and the use of Lewis and the highlighting of the band. It was really cool to see. There's also another huge sit-in that happens in the second set, but they open with Ugly Song. Love Ugly Song. Great lyrics. Love that tune. It's just a dog's ass tune to me. Let You Go is fantastic. They bust that one out for 12 minutes. And then another very special sit-in happens. And again, it's really hard to make that mesh. But they picked one of the best one of the biggest legends in the jam band scene to sit in with them for this. They had Mark Brownstein show up to play Home Again by the Disco Biscuits. Listen, I interviewed Sam Lucid earlier in this season. Please check that episode out. It's fantastic. You will find out if you listen to that episode how big of a Disco Biscuits fan Sam is. And so for Sam to, the bassist of Dogs in the Pile, to announce Mark Brownstein's coming up on stage, give him some knucks, and then, they're standing there playing bass next to each other. He was beaming, man. You could tell how excited the band was to have Mark on stage. I mean, the band's crossed paths with the Disco Biscuits many times. They went to Iceland together. They have not had Mark sit in during a Dogs set and play a Disco Biscuits song with them. And so you could tell how excited they all were. You could tell how excited they were to push this jam out too. They do it for 15 minutes. And, Mark is such a fucking legend and such a fucking unbelievable improviser that it just fits so well. It was truly, a moving moment for me as a Dogs fan watching that. I just know how stoked those guys are on that. I knew how stoked they were when they were sound checking the song in the beginning of the day. And, to have a guy like that show up for their festival is just the coolest nod. I mean, those guys love him. I love Mark. And it was just awesome to watch them work through that in the middle of their set with Brownie. I mean, fucking sweet. Please go. If you are a Disco Biscuits fan, please go listen to that Home Again. Those guys were just grinning from ear to ear throughout the whole entire experience. Mark leaves. They go into Bugle on the Shelf. This, again, like, I don't want to be like super hyperbolic on this. I don't want to think I am a guy who leaves every show being like, that was the best show ever, or that was the best jam, or that was the best whatever the fuck. This Bugle on the Shelf is just fantastic, man. There's already clips that have come out showing how much fun the band was having. I'm sure having Mark Brownstein leave the stage, or join the stage and then leave the stage, left them excited about what was going on. And the rest of the set is just so much fun. Bugle on the Shelf goes for like 20 minutes and it's just excellent. And Spun and Samba for Sam too are just excellent versions, and it's set up for their perfect late night set with DJ Brownie. They had DJ Brownie on the deck, obviously doing a great job. He provides an excellent ambiance for the late night show, for partying on a Saturday night. But he also had all of Dogs in a Pile on stage with him, improvising along to his set. And to watch those guys making choices for the entire set, this often running DJ set, it was very cool. It was very cool to watch, like Brian take the keys and sit down at Jeremy's seat for a second and kind of look at everything like it's a huge cockpit and, find himself something to do. Jeremy helping out Joe on drums and finding something to stick to for a little while, make changes off of. It was a supremely cool and just like one of those experiences that you're watching, you're like, man, a couple of years from now, I'm going to be like, I can't believe I was there for that. Can't believe I saw those guys pulling that off in this like very loose setting. But it was also still, this is the late night Saturday night party set. People are all there dancing. It's not like it was just improvised whatever. This was like they really set up a party atmosphere for these guys, for all of the fans that were in attendance. And yeah, it was just so cool to see. It was just between the Pink Talking Fish, Jimmy and Brian sit-in, and the excellent set that they did with the sit-ins that they had with Lewis and Brownie, and then into this, like this whole day was just a very, very special Dogs experience. Like you got a very special day if you came out for this on Saturday, and you never know when you're going to see something like that again. Obviously, cool things happen at shows all the time, and when you go to things like Jam Cruise or other festivals, sit-ins happen. But this felt like you got a month worth of cool experiences as a Dogs fan all in one night. And so very lucky to have been there for all that and see all that and watch all that crossover happen with these guys. They did an excellent job. And now going into Sunday, listen, everyone who was there was giving their all. So Sunday, listen, you got some of those Sunday faces on. Some of those, listen, it's the third day of the festival. We're tired. We've had to listen to Cam 10 times already, talking in between sets, doing Chicago bits and stand up and whatever the hell this is. We're exhausted. But this last day was also just a fantastic one. There was meant to be a secret set to start the day. Weren't able to do that. At the Westcott Theater. So we did a little live episode, a best dog show ever episode that will not go out anywhere. Listen, if you're a best show ever fan, we don't have it. You had to be there for it. And sometimes some of these live shows are going to be like that. And so we did a little bit of that. We talked to Tooker a little bit, and that led us right into Sneezy. Sneezy is a Chicago funk band. that I got acquainted with on Jam Cruise. And when you are throwing a festival, I don't see how you can't book Sneezy. Listen, these guys are they are a parade. They are a carnival. They are everything that happens in a street band in Chicago with so much more celebration and goofiness and costumes and ribbons and signs and crowd interaction. And at one point their guitarist, she's standing outside in the courtyard playing for people, while it's still coming through on the amps on the inside. Man, it was just like, that's how you bring energy. You got tired people coming in watching a podcast interview. They're like, man, I'm about to fall asleep. And then Sneezy kicks the door open. They're like, we'll be taking the stage now. And they were just fantastic. Just so much high energy, which led us right into Michaela Davis. This is Michaela Davis in her solo effort with her band. They played so much of her new album and even some new songs for us. So that was also just such a fucking treat. And what a completely different, I've used the word atmosphere already on this review. That's exactly what she creates. There is a type of playing of the harp that she is doing with her new band that, and to add the pedal steel element to it, it is like it is Southern. It is jammy. It is smooth. It is beautiful. If this is an album that you're not familiar with yet, go for it. Dive in. And, this is just a supremely talented person, Michaela Davis. And so to have her around that weekend was cool. I mean, having her walking around, having someone load a harp in to a rock show, it was cool. It was fucking cool to have to sneak around the harp to get onto the stage. I'm like, man, just there's so many moments this weekend where you're just thinking like, man, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. I'm going to remember how cool this was, how open this was, for the rest of my life. Michaela Davis, fantastic set. I don't need to sell anyone on how cool she is. Dog's Sunday set was fantastic. These guys come out for the final show, and just they give us a Sunday show. Look, Johnny 2 to open the show. We've got an excellent trunk rum in here. I think that one of my favorite, smoothest trunk rums I've ever seen in my life. Love the build to the jam on this one. And this is like a thing that I talk about with Dogs in the Pile a little bit. This is not a band that, they have gone 40 minutes on a jam before, and they have gone very deep into the 30 minutes on a jam. I know that in our community, we love to see high numbers when it comes to jams, but they can do this thing that Fish also does recently a little bit more with their jamming, that can make a 13-minute jam sound like it's been a half hour. They can tell a very complete and interesting story within that 11, 12-minute mark. And of course, you want to see bands push things out to the 40th minute all the time. Like that is always special. Of course it's special, but there is a skill to making that a jam that you loved during the show, and you go back to the recording at the end of the night and you're like, that was 12 minutes. I felt like it was an hour in the best way possible. There was so much happened in that 10 minutes or 12 minutes. And so this trunk rum is 13, and that's one of them. And Dogs does this so well. There's like a handful of examples of that in this weekend here. And this trunk rum is certainly one of them. Going into the second set here, Gumball, excellent set to opener. Again, like this is another very cool way to open a set, and they just create a very cool sound with that. They take a go set from the first set that they did not finish it in the second set. We love that. We love that in the jam community. Come on. Finish off the go set and go into Minnie the Moocher. I talk about this with Jeremy on the episode that I have out with him right now about schmaltzy songs that they play. that are a little bit a bit, you know, they're Minnie the Moocher is written as a bit already. But just, you know, love these guys. The little cheeky ass fucking Minnie the Moocher in there right before a Tilly, which is not cheeky, is very serious. The Tilly's fucking very serious. It's sick. Samba for Sam, Chop Shop, Thomas Duncan Part 3 is a very cool part of the show. Chop Shop is, and listen, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Chicago guy and they talk about the Windy City in it. Chop Shop is a fucking vehicle for these dudes. Someone in the crowd was comparing it to their tweezer. Listen, we don't have to compare everything that we ever do to Fish, but I felt like that was pretty apt. Okay. This is just such a nasty fucking song, and people just are leaping in the air during it. The energy was so incredibly high going into the Thomas Duncan Part 3, which for them is, I think, one of their most serious compositions. I love the Thomas Duncan Part 3. I think that when you get that song, you know you're getting a Special Dogs show. That's just been my experience with that tune. And they just an excellent one. Thomas Duncan Part 3, and then they make me and Tooker go out for the Tookin' Around. This is where I'd let Tooker take the lead on the mic and kind of teach me a little bit of something about Tookin' Around. And he starts off that song going, I don't know how I'm gonna fucking follow that Thomas Duncan Part 3. Yeah, because it's Tookin' Around is a lovely way to end the show, but it really was a way to end the weekend in this excellent way. You got the crowd singing along. It is the most sing-alongable song maybe in their whole entire catalog. And sing-alongable is a word, you can look that up. But we had been tooken all weekend, which was certainly a long, long time. It was just excellent to listen to the crowd singing that back to the band after what was a long weekend. What was a long weekend of hanging and playing and being around each other. And then they, of course, closed with Burning Daylight. We almost got that bit where they like call the festival Burning Daylight and then never play the song. Would have been down. Love that bit, but you got to deliver. You gotta give the people what they want. Ended with that Burning Daylight, and then Natalie Brooke was your final performer of the weekend, who just fucking funk jamming. Major funk jamming. I was not prepared for that. We were all so tired at the end of the weekend, and she brought us right back up. She pulled us all up out of that Sunday fog and let us close with a bang. And when it came to all of the stuff that I was doing in between all of the bits, the Dogs in a Pile guys, they really gave me full freedom on that. There was not a lot of questions asked about what I was going to do. The trust that they put in me to fill all of the slots in between each one of these acts that we just talked about was pretty humbling. And so we got a chance to do a Q&A with Bob. I did Bob for like a half hour where I just fielded questions from the audience and, messed around as Bob a little bit. We, introed those guys as a Chicago jam coach. Just brought Chicago out to New York with me. Couldn't not, had to do it. And I just want to credit the Dogs audience and the Dog Pound as a unit from that first set that I did on Friday night. Listen, I'm not trying to say that what I'm doing is not important, but we are at a break in the music, which is what we're all here for. Everyone in attendance is there for Dogs, and they're there for music. And so for me to go up and do comedy in between acts, I assume that there's going to be some people who are milling about and chatting. The chomping rules do not apply. I would love full attention and all of that. I don't assume that that's going to happen in this music setting, but this crowd did that, especially on that opening set. Come out for my part of it, and everyone is up at the stage, focused, ready to go. They're like, dude, you are on the lineup. You are part of this, and we are here to listen. And so it is just so much easier to operate from that place when you don't have to get their attention. And they gave me that attention early on, and for some reason, I felt like they kept giving it the rest of the weekend. I cannot thank that community enough, the Dog Pound, for letting us all try stuff and let it see if it sticks. Got Tooker involved in some bits. Got to talk with the crew a little bit during some bits. And those guys really just kind of set me up for success. And they did a great job of just letting me do my thing and seeing what works. And so, we talk about this a little bit in the Jeremy episode that I have out right now too, but it's not that this was a rehearsal. It's not that this was not a massive deal. This is one of the biggest gigs I've ever played in my career. But because of the pivot, because of the way that things worked out venue wise, and because this is the first year of this thing, it really did get to set up as like a, let's see what works. Let's really try some stuff. Let's not get too like, what do they want to see, or what's the easiest thing we can do. Let's try everything. And I really felt like I had a playground to mess around in this weekend. And so I cannot thank the Dogs in a Pile enough for giving me that playground and letting me entertain their audience and the Dog Pound. Yeah, we're so excited to do this again. I'm so excited to continue to do bits with these guys and keep it fun in that way and bring a little comedy to what they do. Because what they accomplish as musicians is so unbelievably serious. They are serious. These guys have serious chops. They are motherfuckers at what they play. And they add a huge level of humor to everything that they do too. The way that they interact and interplay within their solos, it can be so funny. And the choices that they make with their setlist construction and even some of the lyrics in their songs, when you're really listening through, are fucking hilarious. It's their bits. And so happy to add to the bits, happy to add to the joy of this weekend for this community. If you feel like you missed out a little bit, the plan is that they are doing this again. The plan is that this will happen again in 2026. So listen, get yourself out there for Burning Daylight next time. And also, they're coming through this summer. They've got a ton of dates. I feel like no one in this community, this jam community, plays more dates than Dogs in a Pile. So you'll have opportunities to see them. They're at a bunch of festivals this summer. They're playing Bonnaroo. If you're going to Bonnaroo for Goose or Giz or Donato or any of that stuff, you better not fucking miss out on Dogs in a Pile. It's a massive, massive mistake if that's the case. And yeah, well, I'll continue to be working with those dudes in the future. And so if I pop up at a show you're at, hopefully we got some good bits for you, and hopefully we got something that's a little bit of fun. We had a lot of bit of fun this weekend at Burning Daylight. And again, I just cannot thank the crew enough. Ross, Casey McCarthy, Nick Cadena, Brian Masella, AJ, Dog, Junior, everybody involved, the entire band, the band's family, Big Jim, Big Joe, all those guys. It was excellent to be around your community. It was excellent to be a part of it. Can't wait to do it again. If you've been enjoying the podcast, guys, please feel free to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and, subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that stuff. But until next time, guys, have a great show.